We know that living organisms are in the form of unicellular, like amoeba, and multicellular, like plants, humans, and animals. In case of amoeba, like unicellular organisms, now I use the term unicellular, which means that it has only one single cell. In this organisms, all functions are performed by that single cell that exists in these organisms. So unicellular organisms, all functions are performed by single cell. But what about multicellular? What about humans, plants and animals? There are so many different cells in the body. How are the functions performed? In multicellular organisms, there is a specific hierarchy that is followed. What is that? We know that in multicellular organisms, cells come together to form tissues, tissues come together to form organs, organs come together to form organ systems, and organ systems together form the organism. In multicellular organisms, the tissues are assigned or the cells are put into different groups based on their functions, and the tissues are formed, the organs are formed, and organ systems are formed. Organ systems are assigned one specific function. For example, digestive system does the function of only digestion. Respiratory system does the function of only respiration. Circulatory system helps in circulation. Excretory system helps in excretion. So specific function is given to specific organ system. An organ system will do only one function that is assigned to it. So in unicellular, when all the functions are performed by one cell, in multicellular, the functions are distributed among the organ systems, in which organs, tissues and cells work together to complete that particular function. When group of cells which have the same structure, which have the same function, come together, it is called as a tissue. The tissues depends or they vary in plants as well as in animals. We know that plants are sedentary, that means they do not move from one place to another. That is why the tissues that are present in the plants, most of them, they are dead tissues. These dead tissues, they give support to the plant and they don't need a lot of attention. Whereas in animals we know they move from one place to another in search of food, shelter, and that is why the energy that they require is more. So most of the tissues in the animals, they are living cells. Plants, depending upon the stage they are in, only specific part of the body will grow and only those tissues will have dividing cells. Whereas in animals, the entire growth, whichever stage they are in, the growth is uniform and it takes place in all the cells and the tissues and the organs simultaneously. So tissues can basically be divided into two: simple tissues and complex tissues. Simple tissues, as the name itself is telling you, these are those tissues which are made up of only one type of cell, and complex tissues, they are made up of more than one type of cell. This entire chapter is divided into three parts. First part is where you're going to be learning about animal tissues. Second part is where you're going to be learning about plant tissues, and the third part is about biotechnology. So this is how we are also going to go through the lesson. We are going to be learning the chapter in three parts: animal tissues, plant tissues and biotechnology. So today we are going to concentrate on animal tissues. Animal tissues, depending upon their functions, are divided into epithelial tissues, connective tissues, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. Now, when you look at it, it seems to be very simple, four types, but you have each one divided into its types. Epithelial tissue is divided into 6 types, connective is divided into 7 types, muscular is divided into 3 types, and nervous has only 1. Okay, so it is actually a very vast lesson which has a lot of content in it, so you need to pay attention to whatever is done. Alright, so let's start with epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue is the protective coverings in the human body, yes, in the animal body. This is where the cells, they are all closely packed and they form continuous layers, so that anything that enters the body, it will first come in contact with the epithelial tissue. Okay, so first epithelial type is the squamous epithelium. Now, as you can see, it's a very simple layer, so that is why it's also called a simple squamous epithelium. This is the tissue that is present in the inner surface of the mouth, the esophagus, the blood vessels, and the alveoli. This is semi-permeable membrane. Now, this word you have used in your 8th standard. When I say a substance is permeable, it means that it's going to allow all the substance to pass through it. When I say the substance is impermeable, it means it does not allow anything to pass through it. Here we are using the term semi-permeable, which means that it is going to selectively transport some substances and it is going to block the others. Okay, so obviously the function of this substance is, this tissue is to selectively transport the substances from one place to another. It is thin tissue, small tissue, and it has flat cells in it. The next one which we are going to learn is columnar epithelium. Now you know why this word, why it is called like that, because the cells you can see, they are in the form of column like tall cells are present. Okay, this is present in the inner surface of the intestine or the alimentary canal. If you see the upper surface, it has many folds in it, and that is why it makes place for absorption. So the main function of columnar epithelium is to absorb the nutrients, and because it is present in the intestine, it also helps in secretion of digestive juices needed for digestion. The third one is cuboidal epithelium. Now you know why it is called like that. It's called cuboidal. Why? Because the cells are in the form of cubes. Okay, these are the tissues that are present in the kidney, that is in the nephron or the tubules of the kidney. You will learn that later. For now, just understand it is present in the kidney and also in the salivary gland. Obviously, this also will be, the main function is going to be the absorption of useful materials from urine, that is the reabsorption of useful materials from urine, and also in secretion of saliva. Then you have stratified epithelium. Now here if you see, this is a tissue that is made up of many different layers of cells in it. Okay, this is the outer layer of the skin. This is present in the outer layer of the skin, and because it's made up of so many layers, that itself gives you an idea about its function. It is to protect the organ, it is to prevent the damaging of the organ. Okay, then you have glandular epithelium. This also is present in the inner layer of the skin. But if you noticed, I said glandular, which means that this has glands in it, it has vesicles in it. These vesicles or these glands contain certain secretory materials. So the sweat that is being secreted is mainly because of glandular epithelium. Okay, so glandular epithelium, the main function is to secrete oil, to secrete mucus, to secrete sweat and other materials. Then you have ciliated epithelium. Ciliated means that there are these hair-like minute substances or minute hair-like processes are present at the upper surface of this tissue. This is present in the respiratory tract. What is it doing in the respiratory tract? This hair-like cilia or the hair-like particles, they show wave-like motion. So because of the wave-like motion, what is its main function? With this motion, it pushes the mucus and it pushes the air forward so that the air passage remains free and respiration can occur smoothly. Okay, so this is what we have done now. Epithelium tissue is divided into 6 types. Simple squamous epithelium, which is flat, it is present in the inner surface of the mouth. It is semi-permeable, helps in transport of substances. Second, columnar, column-like tall cells are there, secretes digestive juices and absorbs nutrients. Cuboidal, the cells are in the form of cube. It helps in reabsorption of useful materials from urine and helps in secretion of saliva. Stratified epithelium, many different layers are there. It's a very thick kind of a tissue. It helps in protection of organs. Glandular epithelium, there are glands present in it, so helps in secretion of sweat, oil, mucus, etc. Ciliated epithelium, it has cilia present in it, so helps in pushing of air forward to keep the air passage free. So this is what we have learnt in epithelial tissue. Next we come to connective tissue. Connective tissue, the word itself is telling you this is a tissue that connects different parts of the body or that joins different parts of the body. The first type is already in front of you, that is blood. Blood is a connective tissue which has red blood cells, it has white blood cells, it has platelets, and all of them are in plasma. That's a liquid substance that in which all these things are present. We know that blood circulates in our body from one part to another part, and it also helps in transportation. As it's circulating in our body, it transports oxygen and nutrients to all the cells in the body, and similarly it collects all the waste materials generated in different parts of the body and circulates it or sends it to kidney for excretion. So that is the first connective tissue of our body. Second connective tissue is lymph. Now what happens is, whenever blood passes through the blood capillaries as circulation is going on, a fluid comes out of the blood capillary. A fluid oozes out or it leaks out from the blood capillary. This is a fluid that contains WBC. This fluid that oozes out or that leaks out from the blood capillary which contains WBC is called as the lymph. Now I told you that it contains WBC, so obviously the function is going to be protection of the body from infection. Okay, this is present in almost all the cells in the body. It's present around all the cells in the body. Okay. The next is areolar tissue. This is a tissue that contains very loosely arranged cells and it has elastic fibers in it. This is a tissue that is present between the skin and the muscle. Because it's present between the skin and the muscle, the major function is to support the internal organ. Adipose tissue. This is a tissue that is present below the skin and also around the internal organ. This has cells in it which is going to be filled with fat droplet in it. So obviously what is it doing? It is storing the fat and it's also supplying energy to the organs that it surrounds. Next is cartilage. Cartilage gives support and shape to the organs. Now when I say the function of cartilage is to give support and shape to the organ, You will say then, okay, this is very much similar to bone. Yes, it is similar to bones because bones also give support and shape to the organ. But the slight difference between cartilage and bone is that cartilage is fibrous and flexible. This is the tissue that is present in the nose, in the ear, the trachea, and the larynx. So you can, by looking at the examples where it is present, you will understand how it is giving support and shape to the organ. Bone. Bone is a connective tissue. Bone is mainly made up of two things, osteocytes and calcium phosphate. Osteocyte is nothing but the cells in the bone which is embedded, or it is put in a medium that contains calcium phosphate. So when you say bone, the first thing that should come to your mind is osteocyte and calcium phosphate. That is all that it is made up of. Okay, we very well know what bones do. Bones support us, they protect the internal organs, okay, and also helps in easy movement of the body parts. Then you have tendons and ligaments. Now, we know that bones, wherever bones are present, bones are also surrounded by muscles. Okay, now the tendon is nothing but the tissue that connects or that holds the muscle to the bone, that connects or joins the muscle to the bone, and ligament is nothing but that connects two bones to each other. So ligament is from bone to bone connection and tendon is muscle to bone connection. Alright. So connective tissue, which are the types we've learned? Blood. It helps in transportation of oxygen, nutrients, and also sends the waste to the kidneys for excretion. Second is the lymph. It helps in protection of the body because this is a fluid that contains WBCs. Areolar tissue helps in supporting internal organs. It is made up of elastic fibers and present between the skin and the muscle. Adipose tissue is the tissue that has cells with fat in it, so it's helping in storage of fat and also supplies energy. Cartilage supports and gives shape to the organ. It's different from the bone because it is flexible. Bone supports the body, protects the organs and helps in movement, easy movement. Tendons and ligaments. Tendons, they join the muscles to the bones, and ligament helps in joining two bones together. So this is about our connective tissue. Next is muscular tissue. Now muscular tissue is formed from a very special protein that is called as a contractile protein. This is because this is a main protein because of which there is contraction and relaxation of the muscle is possible, mainly because of this protein. It is also made up of muscle fibers. Now, muscular tissue is divided into three: cardiac muscle, skeletal muscle, and smooth muscle. Cardiac muscle is nothing but the muscle that is present in the heart, which helps in contraction and relaxation of the heart. Now looking at the picture itself, you will get the entire description. If you look at how the muscles look, you will see that there are single nucleus present, so it is uninucleate. The muscle cells, they are cylindrical and they are branched. So all three characteristic which I just now told, it is visible in front. It is visible. You can see it from the picture itself. Okay. So cardiac muscles are uninucleate. They are cylindrical, they are branched. You can also see that there are dark and light bands present on it. Okay, and these are the muscles which are involuntary, which means that you cannot control the movement, the contraction, relaxation, you cannot control them. Okay, so cardiac muscles are the heart muscles, which are involuntary muscles. They are cylindrical, uninucleate and branched, and there are dark and light bands present on them. The next one is skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle is a voluntary muscle. That means these are the muscles which are attached to the bones of our body and it works according to our will. Okay. If you look at it, you will see the muscles are multinucleate, many nucleus you can see. They are cylindrical, they do not have branches. They have dark and light bands present on them. So all the running, walking, movement of the arms and the legs that we do is mainly because of this muscle. Because it has the dark and the light bands present on it, it is also called as striated muscles. So striated muscles are skeletal muscles. The third type is smooth muscle tissue. These are again involuntary muscles. These are present in the alimentary canal, blood vessels. So all the movement, the involuntary movement that happens in our body, like the passage of food through the alimentary canal, or contraction and relaxation of the blood vessels, or movement of the eyelid, all this happens because of these smooth muscle tissues. If you look at it, these are not long, they are short, they are spindle shaped, and they are uninucleate. They have no branches in them. They don't have dark and light bands also, as you saw in the previous two. Okay, because they don't have light and dark bands, they are also called as non-striated muscles. Okay, so muscles or muscular tissues are divided into three: cardiac muscles, skeletal muscles, and smooth muscles. They can also be called as cardiac muscles, striated tissues or striated muscles, and non-striated muscles. Okay, so this is what we've learned: cardiac muscle, skeletal muscle, smooth muscle. Okay, you only have to keep the picture in your mind. Looking at the picture itself, you will be able to give the characteristics, or you can describe the tissues in your own words. Next is nervous tissue. Nervous tissue is the tissue which helps us to respond to different stimulus like touch, sound, odor, color, etc. Okay, now this is the tissue which is made up of the cell body. If you look at the left hand side, you have the blue colored part, that is the cell body. The cell body consists of the nucleus and the cytoplasm, and it also has these small branch like fibers which are called as the dendrites. Okay, now in all the dendrites, if you look at it carefully, one fiber is extremely long, and that fiber which is extremely long is called as the axon. Okay, this axon is nothing but it's actually one of the fiber that has originated from the cell body itself. So the axon, if you see, it is moving along, and then you have the end of it, that is the axon terminal. Okay, this is basically how it works, is that it is the dendrites which are present in the cell body. It collects the information, or it collects the signal from one part of the body, transfers it along the axon to the axon terminal. From the axon terminal, it's going to be passed on to the next nerve cell. So this that you see over here is actually the nerve cell. Okay, nervous tissues, they are present in the brain, in the spinal cord, and the network of these nerves, they are spread all through the body. Okay, so mainly the nervous tissue and the muscular tissue, they work together, and that is how we can respond to different stimulus in the environment. So let's see how the signals are transferred from one place to another. If you see, dendrites will be collecting. The dendrites collect the signal from the cell body, pass through the axon, and then towards the axon terminal. The length of the nerve cell, it can be as long as 1 meter also. Alright. So if you look at what we've done today, we've done the animal tissue, which have the animal tissue is divided into 4 types: epithelial, connective, muscular, nervous. Epithelial, first one we discussed was squamous. They are flat, they are normally semi-permeable. Second we learned was columnar. They have column-like tall cells used for absorption, especially present in alimentary canal. helps in absorption of nutrients. You have cuboidal, their cube-like cells are present. It is present in the kidney and the salivary gland for secretion of saliva and reabsorption of materials from urine. Then you have stratified epithelium. They are the tissues which have many different layers in it. Helps in protection of organs and prevention of damage to the organ. Glandular epithelium, they have glands in it and they secrete sweat, oil, mucus, etc. Ciliated epithelium is mainly that has cilia on it. It has a wave-like motion because of which the air is pushed forward and it keeps respiration. It helps in respiration. Then connective, we learned about blood, helps in transport of oxygen, nutrients and gives the waste to the kidney. We have lymph, helps in protection because it has WBC. Areolar helps in supporting internal organ. It's present between the skin and the muscle. Adipose has fat droplets in it. It stores fat and supplies energy. Cartilage, it helps in support and shape and it's flexible. Bone again gives support and shape. It is helps in movement also. Tendons and ligaments. Tendons joins the muscles to the bones. Ligaments joins bones to it one another. Muscular tissue. 3 types: cardiac, striated, non-striated. Cardiac is present in the heart. Skeletal is attached to the bones and helps in movement. Smooth muscle, also called non-striated, is present in all involuntary actions like alimentary canal. It's present in the alimentary canal, blood vessels. So the movement of the food through the alimentary canal or contraction of the blood vessel happens because of this smooth muscle. And then in the nervous tissue we learnt about the nerve cell. Okay, it is very very important that every single type is learnt there. It's given in the textbook very clearly, so go through the text and read the text carefully.